everybody. Today we're going to be doing a flight from Rockhampton to Palm Island. I was going to run this one under visual flight rules so it can stay fairly low to the ground and look at the landscape, but it's raining up there at the moment, and because I got the real world weather on, we're going to have to do it IFR rules, but I'll try to stay as low as I am allowed to do under the IFR rules. Hopefully we'll be able to see some stuff on the way up. But I will still do my navigation through VOR instead of the GPS. We'll see how close I can get by doing that type of navigation. Now, if anyone was watching me yesterday, unfortunately my simulation crashed halfway through. I couldn't get it back up to the last place I was, and I went, right, okay, we're just gonna call it a day there, and we'll try again today. I have loaded in a auto save feature, so every minute it'll automatically save my position, so if I crash again, I should be able to bring myself pretty much exactly back to where we were, and we'll continue the flight. So, as I said, at the moment, we're going to be traveling using the VOR thing, so we'll set everything up. I'll go through the checklist, and once we get to the point to set up our VOR, I'll show you how that works. But meanwhile, I'm going to first of all do my checklist, and then we'll get to the point where we're setting everything up and putting in our flight plan. So yeah, give me a second, I'll go through this stuff here real quick. What I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure that my fuel here is set properly, because I put in 38.83 gallons, so there we go. I'm just going to decrease that just a bit. That gives me a little bit of leeway on that. Alright. Tells me how much fuel I've got left in the vehicle. It's different than what the gauge says. I'm a little concerned about that, but we'll see how that goes. I know that I've done the weight measurements. I know I put the fuel in there. It says I've got like 20 something in there, but I'm sure I've got more than that in there. You know what? Put that down to that just to see what that does, see if that keeps it somewhat good. So let's put that at 22. We'll just keep an eye on it. Alright. And that's on.
Starting engine checklist completed. Before taxi checklist.
Alright, so let's go ahead and set up our radio navs. So as I said, so we're going to be doing VOR, so I'm going to start by setting the first one as being the one that's the Rockhampton VOR. And when you set the VOR, you have to set the frequency, and then you set your radial. And the radials are based off of the where the station is at the center. So if I'm traveling away from something, the radial is going to be the direction I want to travel. If I'm heading toward a VOR, it needs to be the reciprocal one, which is basically the angle minus 180 degrees or degrees or plus 180 degrees. So in this case here, we're going ahead to 322, so I'm just gonna set the, let's see, first of all, let's go ahead and view her. Alright, 322 is what we're after, so there we go. And I'm gonna set the second nav to the Mackay one, which is 112.7. I got that set up here already. Going back to nav 1 again. I'm gonna change the standby to Townsville, which is 114.1, and that way is I'm just to get between one to another. I'm just pressing a couple buttons. I don't have to worry too much about all this. 114.1, really? 114.1. So okay, there's something interesting I didn't realize. Okay. No, okay, so I just was doing the wrong. Okay, so 116. Yeah, I shouldn't have pressed the button to swap the standby. Okay, there we go. I had everything set. Okay, 14.1 is Townsville. 112.7 is Mackay. So, okay, and let's see next. Want that to be nav 1. That to be nav 2. Because that will give me directions to the nav points. And hopefully, if as we're going there, it'll swap saying, hey, you're this far away from this, you're this far away from this. That way, it's hopefully at any point in time I'm close to one of the VORs. I might get out of the Rockhampton range, but by the time I'm out of the Rockhampton range, I should be able to pick up, at least within a bit of that direction, the Mackay one. So that's all set up there. Right, let's go back to our, let's see, so frequencies, the frequencies are still set. Not sure if we got anyone on ATC, so I'll leave that at the top level area control for the moment, but let me go ahead and log on to my ATC and find out if somebody's there. Alright. No ATC in the area, so everything I'm going to be doing will be through the Unicom, which is the 122.80. Nice. Alright. Let's go ahead and we can go ahead and finish our checklist here.
Taxi checklist completed.
Right, so we are now clear for able to taxi. So just it said because we got no ATC on, all I have to do is announce my intent on the channel. And in this case here, I'm just gonna I'm just pulling up the charts for the Rockhampton Aerodome so I can check where I need to go. YBRK traffic, EHVAL C172, IFR, taxi, taxi via Golf, cross runway 32, Hotel Bravo Juliet to runway 33. So not runway, it's cross runway 22. So runway 33 for departure northwest. Okay. That just tells everybody what I'm planning to do. Set my range a bit down here. Need to make a left-hand turn. Make the first right. Okay, that's fine by me. Let's go. Alright, just give me a second. Just had a message come to me. Alright, just had somebody asking a quick question what route I'm doing. I'm just saying Rockhampton to Palm Island, YBRK to MK to TL to YPAM. So basically it's somebody who happens to be in the range. Just saying they're just kind of making sure that I'm not going to be interfering with them. So just letting you know that the route I'm taking, and that'll be 6,000 feet or lower, they're traveling in a jet at about 35,000. So they're just making sure that I'm not going to interfere with their flight plan, which is the way it's supposed to work. So yeah, kudos to Samuel Warilo for actually checking. Find out what route I'm actually taking on there, because obviously it's what it looks like. It's one of those that they're going to be traveling really close to where I'm at. I've let them know the altitude that I'm going to be flying at and the route that I'm taking, and that way they can be rest assured that I'm not going to be interfering with their with their flight plan. That being said, I will check and make sure that I'm not interfering with them as well. Alright, now I just gotta stop here. And take some chat. Unicom. YBRK traffic. C172 IFR crossing runway 22. I just informed them on there, so I stopped at this holding point, then made sure it was clear, and informed everyone that I'm crossing the runway here. So yeah, the other pilot was trying to figure out where I was at, where I was heading, and where Palm Island was. So this other pilot actually is flying up to Rockhampton in real life tomorrow. So yeah, they just found a little interesting that I was traveling from the airport that they'll be doing a real life flight from tomorrow. So yeah, that's cool. It sneaks up on you. I just gotta double check where I'm at. Oh, no. I'm not anywhere close to the thing on the airport. Just I saw the lines on the ground. I'm like, oh, I'll just make sure I'm not doing any runway incursions. But no, I'm good. I continue this. Lights that you might see blinking there in the distance is where I'm gonna need to stop at. Perfect parking. Right, plugins, checklist.
Before takeoff checklist.
Just double check that there's no ATCs that I need to talk to. Yep, that's good. Alright. So we're going to line ourselves up. Normally, if I had an ATC controller, I'd be there, I'd tell them I'm ready, they'd line me up and confirm that I'm ready to take off, and then they go, yep, go for it. Do the pre-takeoff configuration before you actually get there, and if there's like more than one person, they'd be doing the takeoff checklist while you're taxiing into position. But since I'm only one person, it's like gotta make sure I'm ready for takeoff before I even get onto here to take off, because you don't want to be sitting on the runway longer than you need to be. Set and alright, let's go. Climbing too fast. Raising the flaps. Okay, so I've cleared the runway. I just need to, I'll do this real quick while I'm doing this. I'm just going to set the heading. And that's only because I got to go to the text messages and let people know, so I'll continue to be climbing. So, YBRK traffic, Val C172, IFR, clear runway 33, climbing to 6,000. Okay. Another thing to look at is, I said we're wanting to head a 322 heading, and at the moment the wind's actually pushing us to the radial that we want to be, but I need to figure out what the deflection is with this crosswind. To do that, I take crosswind, which in this case happens to be 5 knots. and divide that by sorry about that. So take your speed that you're going, or your crosswind, divide it by your cruise speed that you're aiming for, and then you take the arctangent of that. It's better if you have like a sheet that you've already pre-programmed this all in. But it looks like your deflection is about 2.6 degrees, so I'm going to put it as a 3/2 and adjust it as the flight is going. But we're still climbing up to our 6,000. So once we actually get lined up, I'm going to set my heading to about 324 to take effect of that crosswind. Looking too bad around the area, just got a nice climb speed going here. Once we hit around 6,000, we'll level off, and then we'll handle our leans and everything like that. But okay, we'll adjust our heading now to 324, 325, I think, actually. And as I said, we can adjust that back and forth a little bit as we're flying to make sure that we're staying within line of this VOR. And as you see up here, it's showing that RK, that's Rockhampton, that's the VOR we're currently connected to. Bad looking area we're taking off from here. So I'm using photorealistic scenery here that I've downloaded and installed, so you guys get a good look of the area as we're flying up. Looks like a really nice looking river over there. Yeah. So that's the river right there that you can see on the map here, and that's it over there. So we can continue our climb up to 6,000, which, as I said, is given both the fact we're going in a western direction, we have to use even numbers, and there's a limit to the. Let's see if I can get this to show you. Now this map doesn't have the distances in it, but that's okay. Just need to keep on somewhat on this angle and heading up. Right. So unfortunately, is about where we're going to be flying at. It's going to have like cloud layers and such like that, but because of how low the clouds are and running IFR, you're not allowed to fly into clouds. I really don't have any choice but to run this as IFR, which means I have to maintain certain height limitations and such like that. So yeah, we're going to be going through some clouds. Yeah, so once we get to this waypoint Karen here, we'll drop ourselves down to 4,000 and get a better look at the area here, because I won't have to worry about if we get stuck in clouds, I won't have to worry too much about the terrain as much. Speaking of that, I need to make sure map terrain is turned on. But yeah, if I was running the VFR, I would have to would not want to be this high up, because it's starting to get to the cloud lines. But when I took off from Rockhampton, it was like visibility 4, raining, and cloud level was down to like 2,000, and broken clouds. I was like, no, that's not safe. And with this weather patterns we've been having, the conditions can change really quickly. So, looks like we're about to enter the clouds, and hopefully we won't stay in the clouds too long. But as I said, once we hit Karen here, he says I've already told him the flight plan. As soon as I hit Karen, I'm dropping down to 4,000, so that's what we'll do. I just realized I definitely have to go through and make sure I recheck that checklist, make sure it's actually correct for what I'm using. Because that follow checklist, I forgot, I need to make sure I set my transponder to alt. I didn't do that. So yeah, after the flight, I'm going to go through and go through the checklist. I'm going to redesign it a little bit and create my own checklist for it. It'll still be based a lot off of the what it has here, but it's going to basically combine what I got from like the base plane and then the G1000 version, and make something that actually has everything in there to remind me. Isn't that a pretty forested area in the middle of this place? Fact, practically over the water now. There's nothing that's being near us, and as much as I know that got another 20 nanometers. If it gets no, it's getting worse. I'm going to what's around me right now is going to be safe. I'm over water. I know there's nothing going to hit it. Be over water pretty much the entire time here. So I'm going to let's see the traffic line here. YGPE. All right. YGPE traffic. VH Val C172 IFR. Radio 69, 3 nanometers from YGPE, descending to 4,000 feet. basically, I just told him, it's like, okay, I mean, the nearest airport that I am, that traffic, exactly what radial I am, where I am. So if anyone was online and they saw that, they'd be able to pull it up and say, oh, well, yeah, he's nowhere near me. But since we're before where we need to be, I'm just gonna do kind of like a slow descent, only about 200 feet per minute. That's nice. A bit of a floodplain there. Alright, if you notice here, we've lost, at some point in time, we've lost, or just recently, we lost communications with the Rockhampton VOR. So, what we're going to want to do is swap our nav to this and change our CDI to nav 2. Now I don't have to adjust the radial that I'm doing because it was calculated on doing just a straight shot there. So, but if you noticed, this is showing a CRS of 142 instead of, which is fine. That's exactly what we want. That's the opposite of the. That's the opposite of the 322. As you can see here, it just flops direction. That's because we're coming into it. Okay, now you notice we don't have any connection to them yet. So we don't have any connection to them just yet, but that's okay. When we get closer, it will say, oh, hey, there's a radio signal. So at the moment, we know that we need to fly 322, and we just keep it going. As long as we've got our instruments here saying 322, we'll be fine. And eventually we'll get caught up to the second VOR. There we are. If you just noticed there, we just picked up the Mackay VOR frequency there, and it shows us being slightly off that where we want to go. So we're just gonna adjust our heading just a bit to get ourselves aligned back onto that VOR. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually pulled up the map and says, okay, you know, obviously we're not exactly on her, but since this is not our final destination, we're just heading toward it as a waypoint. Yeah, a bit of cheating here, but I would usually be pulling up the maps, looking at there and finding out what the current radial from our position to Mackay was. In this case here, it's 143. So I've set the radial to 143 so that we're not having to travel too much out of our way to come across for what's just a waypoint we're flying over. So I've set the waypoint to 143, and which means that our reciprocal of that is going to be 323. So I've got my heading set right now to about 327, so we can get back lined up to our VOR2, and then we'll level it off, and then we should be good heading up to Mackay. And then once we're there, we'll change our radial again, because we're going to be heading in a direction away from Mackay. Let's see. So once we hit Mackay, we're going to be changing our radial to radial's going to be changed to a 301. Don't really have much cloud layer here. I'm going to go ahead and see what happens when we go above the cloud layer. So what traffic is nearby? I'll use Mackay traffic then. HVL. YBMK traffic, VHVAL C172 IFR at radial. So we're 6,000 feet. Once we get closer to Mackay, I'm actually going to change the radial, but we're not going to move yet because we want to intercept the radial. So once we get closer to Mackay, we'll I'll switch the radial, but we'll hit the same direction, and we're there. And speaking of which, I'm going to change my heading just a wee bit this direction to line back up perfectly on the radial. Look at that catchment down there. Hopefully you'll be able to watch me go land it. Oh, look at that little island down there. Jeez, looks like that'd be. Okay, we're within 10 nautical miles of Mackay. Still going to follow this route that I am, but I am going to go ahead and change my the heading I want to leave to 301. We're not gonna, as I said, we're not changing our direction any. I'm just in this preparation so that when we hit Mackay, I can immediately just change the direction we need to go. There we are. Ideally is, as we're getting close to Mackay, that we'll get closer. Once they intersect, we should be able to churn, but by then we're right on top of the DOR, and it may not exactly know exactly what radial we're on that close, which is fine. We just adjust ourselves with our headings until everything stabilizes, and then we just go from there. Yeah, once this distance gets about 0, I'll immediately adjust my heading. We'll head toward the 301 away from Mackay. And that should lend us to heading toward Townsville. Look at all that farmland. Take a look at the farmland up there. I can't see Mackay in front of us, but we'll be able to pass over it. Maybe we'll see it. It's a lot of farmland. Oh look, the view from the back seat. Actually, I think it would be pretty cool if I figured out how I can link it that people can be in on this as well, and maybe somebody sitting in the passenger seats, 2 people sitting in the back seats, not being able to control anything, they're just visual. I'll have to look up, see if that's possible. It'd be cool if it was. Alright, there we go, right in front of us, that's Mackay. That there's the Mackay, well, it was the Mackay Airport. clouds now. Alright. There we go. So we're leaning up. And I'll go ahead and check and just set it hitting there. Could have actually done it before as it was approaching, but that's okay. This is definitely why, in this particular situation, like, you don't want to be running visual flight rules. You want to be running IFR, in keeping within the requirements of your flight plan that you have. Because if I was to go off that direction, right? What do you see over there, Madonna? A lot of cloud. There's actually a mountain over there. To show you, that mountain is over there. So if I was just trying to do, oh, I'll just fly there and I'm flying through clouds, and I wasn't paying attention to instruments, or I didn't have an instrument that would show me terrain height en route, I could quite easily run into one of those mountains. So, I mean, when you're running visual flight rules, you don't want to be running clouds because you need to be able to see the terrain. I'm just lucky that in this vehicle here I can go to IFR really, really quickly, and I can see the terrain, and I know that I'm safe on the route that I'm taking. But at the moment, where are we at? We just passed by Mackay. So what just happened here is we're no longer in range of Mackay, so we'll have to wait till we get closer to Townsville to be able to do anything. But so 6 divided by 111. Arc tangent of that, it's 3 degrees. So 298. We should continue on this route until we get closer to Townsville, and then we'll adjust from there based on our heading. We can't do much until we get a little bit closer to where we're going. Wow. Quick. I just didn't have my my CDI set up properly for the one I was on. That's why I couldn't see anything. But that's okay, because I was lined up to it from the icons I was on there, so that was okay. So we're doing the 301, so I need to bring this back around. Oops. That I've decided to go on because of the thing. 309. Line myself back up. Go back over to 306. Oh, thank you for the follow. We are actually almost at our destination. We've got about 17 nautical miles until Townsville, in which case we can then turn north, head to Palm Island, which is only about 24-30 nautical miles away from there. Apparently that mountain is called Mount Elliott. It's not the volcano, it's Mount Elliott. That's okay. Still, it's just like it's right in the middle there. So be sure that it's actually a volcanic remnant. of some sort. Especially given the shape, and it's like in the middle of a flat area. Either that or it's part of a really old mountain range that just used to be the highest point, and now that's all that's left. Hey there, Smack Producer. Thank you for joining in and watching. I'm actually in the middle of doing I'll be doing several of these videos where I'm actually going to be traveling around the world in this little Cessna. Which will get interesting once I get to, like, over there toward Russia and crossing over the ocean as well. So, yeah, hope you can join in and watch me with the rest of my shows. Let's see, still traveling. Yep, still on the right heading, adjusted for wind. Now that little island that you see off in the distance there, that's called Magnetic Island. Just off the coast of Australia, right there near Townsville. You can actually get to there off of a ferry ride from the mainland, and people actually live on that island there. There's another island that's going to be over there somewhere. We don't quite see it yet, but I'll try to find it as we're passing by it. But it's called Rattlesnake Island, and in fact, my original flight plan had me traveling over it. I decided not to because real life that's actually a restricted area for military operations. But we should be able to pass close enough to take a gander at it as we're passing by. My call sign is Victor Hotel, Victor Alpha Lima. In front of us, we got beautiful Townsville. Making our route changes this direction about 7.4 nanometers. Or bleh, keep on doing that. Nautical miles. I'm sorry. I've done science, and then to me is always like nanometers. Yeah, I always know when I'm piloting. I can just see my saying that over the Vatsim too. It's like, yeah, I'm this many nanometers away from the airport. Really? There it is. That's Rattlesnake Island over there. The spot that they do military operations on, apparently. The island we're going to is over there. Mountainous area there, except for this little strip there that's actually flat for us to land on. Talking to my Unicom, YPAM traffic, VH valve C172 on final runway 32. Get a little bit closer to the airport, I will turn off the autopilot and take the rest of the way in. Once I actually got eyes on the airport. Actually, I probably need to do it now. Because the airport should be approach to the airport. Rather strong crosswind, so we'll just airstrip. This is why it's probably a good idea to get yourself used to what the terrain's going to look like when you approach it. Don't actually have the airport in sight just yet. That's got to be it right there. Go this way a bit. Yeah, it's a little dirt little one that's right there. Yep, port's in sight. Now I know where I'm heading toward. Thank you very much for the follow. a bit over there. We got a really almost at the maximum for my plane crosswind here, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Much better flying than the last lap I did. The last time I did it, my plane was all over the place because comes to find out after I landed that I had a flat busted somehow. I'm actually running pretty good here. 600 off the ground, off the ocean. Don't have any indication on this airstrip about my my glide slope. So this is all going to be by reckoning. Hopefully I'll actually land on the airstrip. Oh, that's the crosswind. Come on. Oh. Well, not the perfect landing, but hopefully there was nothing there that I would have hit if it was real life. But it's a little dirt strip. Wouldn't be much here, I think, but I'm gonna go ahead and get myself back on the strip, kind of like look for a proper exit. But no, I touched down the runway, but no, then that crosswind hit, and I was like, no, couldn't keep enough rudder control on it. So, oh well, live and learn. Alright, do a proper shut off of the vehicle. And we're done. And that's it for this flight. Thank you very much for joining me with today. And I will be making another flight sometime this week. I will make sure that I post it onto the YouTube page. I also put this on, and I will see about putting some information in here as well for it. Anyway, again, thank you very much for joining me, and have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.